What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another video here on my channel. For those of you guys that have been following along for a while, you guys know that I just moved to Austin, Texas, which is a pretty big deal if you ask me, because it's a massive change. And normally in my life, big changes like this come with a wave of anxiety that I just can't shake. And believe me, this has not been any different. I have been so anxious these last few weeks. Now, I want to preface for this video that having anxiety isn't the end of the world. Having an anxiety disorder does not mean you can't live a great life, but it does mean there's certain things in your life that are going to be a little bit harder compared to somebody that doesn't have to deal with it. Now, with that in mind, it's important to understand that anxiety isn't something that just goes away. It's not something that you have to suffer from all the time. It's something that you live with. And in order to learn how to live with it, you have to understand the pros and cons of it, understand your weaknesses, but also understand the strengths that anxiety can give you. Now, I'm not saying anxiety is a super secret serum that you take all of a sudden you become strong and powerful. It's not like a radioactive spider. I wish I can go climb on walls. I wish I could shoot web, but that's not what anxiety does. Anxiety is something that you just have to live with. It's not something that just goes away magically with a vaccine. It's not something that you can just wish away, you can pray away. It's one of those things that you have with you for the rest of your life. I mean, hell, even when I was taking medication for it, I still had to practice my positive affirmations. I had to do all the stuff that I was supposed to do from my therapist, because you can't just get rid of anxiety like that. You learn to live with it. Now, throughout the learning process in my life, I've come to understand that anxiety does have downsides. I'm not going to sugarcoat it and say, oh, it's fantastic, I love having it. It's not my favorite thing in the world, but I have developed a lot of great qualities through having anxiety. And I want to share at least 3 of them with you guys today. That way you realize it's not all that bad and we can use it to our advantage. Alright, I'm about to do something that not a lot of people would say out loud, especially on the internet for everyone to see, but I'm gonna admit that I haven't always been a good person, and even today it's subjective. Depending on how you define good, you may not think I'm a good person, but that's up to you to decide. For me though, I can at least say that I feel like I've progressed a lot in my life, because I was a douchey frat guy in college. I was a douchey jock in high school. I've always been the kind of person that sat on their high horse. I was very egotistical. I was narcissistic about a lot of things because things were handed to me. I was good at things naturally. I was smart. I was athletic. I just had so many things in my life that went well. I came from a good home. My family was great. Just everything seemed so perfect, and I looked down on other people that didn't live the same lifestyle as me, or didn't live up to the potential that I had, because I was just an asshole. That's the best way to put it. But it wasn't until I started to realize that I had an anxiety disorder. It wasn't until I learned that I wasn't perfect, that I also had a lot of issues that I had to develop and work on myself. It wasn't until I realized that I understood that I lacked empathy for other people. Once I got a taste of my own imperfections, I realized that I was far from being perfect. Everybody that I had looked down on before was at the same level as me, if not higher than me, because they had actually experienced trials and tribulations. And it wasn't until I had my whole dark twists and just all that stuff I experienced through college with drugs and alcohol and just being drained mentally, I didn't understand what it was like to empathize with other people. Every time I told somebody I knew what they were going through, I had no clue, and I never would know, because I had never experienced something like that. And it wasn't until I had my anxiety disorder, and it wasn't until I felt like the walls at Target are closing on me, or I'm on the floor trying to catch my breath. It wasn't until I experienced these things that I realized I have never been able to empathize with somebody until I was able to understand that I wasn't perfect myself. Now, in no way am I telling you guys this stuff because I want you to pity me, or I want you guys to say, you know what, Tim, you are a better person, because that's not what I need to hear. What I want you to do is learn from my mistakes, understand that I was the kind of person that led with judgment. My initial reaction was like, oh, you're experiencing this, you're crying, you're going through something hard, you're weaker than me, you're a beta male, you're all this stuff, and you're not at my level because I'm better than you. This is something I would never experience. And it wasn't until I learned from my own anxiety, I had to lead with empathy. I had to lead with understanding, because we don't know what's going on in someone's lives. And it wasn't until I had my own issues where I'm sitting there at Target having the walls closing on me that I finally understood the girl who was in college crying in a study room, or the person at Walmart that couldn't catch their breath on the floor. There's so many different things now that I understand, and I wouldn't understand them without my anxiety disorder. Another surprising benefit I found is that I feel like I've been a lot more appreciative of everything in my life. I feel like this one might be a little self-explanatory, but think of it this way. I'm an anxious person. If you're an anxious person, you understand, but we're anxious a lot. I feel like a good chunk of the last years of my life I've spent being worried about something, whether it be my health or my friendships or my relationships or just school, my job. There's always something that's been so worrisome and so bothersome that I just forget to sit back and relax. I felt like my most common thoughts were that I'm gonna fail at life, I'm not gonna make it, I'm gonna die. Like, there's always that fear of impending doom, and it just wouldn't go away no matter what I tried. But then when I realized what I have and who I am, and that I have to live with this anxiety disorder, I understood better that I can accept the present and accept the way I feel, especially when I feel good. It's gonna sound like some twisted logic, but the way I see it is that if I didn't have these fears, if I didn't have this anxiety, I wouldn't really get to appreciate when things are good. I really wouldn't understand what good meant because I would never experience bad. So for me now, I get to survive these things, these fears in my brain, these fears that I have about everything. I survive every single time and things work out, and then I get to sit back and really appreciate the things in my life that do work out, and I get to understand and just get better and better about thinking in the long run. But ironically and thankfully for the anxiety that I do feel, I eventually get to understand that I do survive and things do turn out well a lot more often than I think. I mean, look where I'm at now. I'm at a park here in Austin, and it's just like I'm sitting out here enjoying the breeze, the birds. I mean, honestly, the birds kind of annoy me. You probably hear them in a lot of my videos now, but I'm enjoying it because I'm actually able to come out, leave my house, get out of bed, come do things like this, and really appreciate feeling of normalcy. When I'm in the middle of a panic attack or I feel like I'm just losing my mind, these are the kind of things I fear. I fear that I'm not gonna be able to go out in public. I fear that I can't drive my car without having an anxiety attack. I fear so many things, but then when I do them and I get out here and I actually get to appreciate it, I realize that life is fantastic and it's really not all that bad. It's not as bad as my brain makes it out to be. It's actually kind of funny because as I started filming this video today, I was feeling a little anxious. Every now and then I get this weird feeling in my stomach where I just feel super tight and I'm anxious for no reason. I'm guessing the reason is because we just moved. There's a lot of big changes in my life that have happened, but I don't know, just doing stuff like this and coming out and getting to film and do the things I love just really makes it all that much better. So I do appreciate you guys come back and watching, or even just give me any kind of motivation to do this, because it's nice. This is truly nice. All right, let's see, there's at least one more benefit. Actually, there's a lot of benefits, but let's end it with just one more so this video doesn't get too long. And you know what? I didn't realize the sun was gonna be in my face. Let's move right there. Is that better? That looks better. Nope, that's not better. I'm sorry, guys. I'm filming at the end of the day. I'm tired, I'm exhausted. I got the sunlight coming through. Let's see if I can fix this real quick. Yeah, that looks much better. I don't think most people care. Usually if you make it to the end of the video, you're like a real good friend. You're a real one, I guess they'd say, somebody that actually cares about the video, because most people don't make it this far on YouTube videos, and it's a damn shame, but totally get it. So let's see, the last thing. It's crazy because there's a lot of things that anxiety has taught me that are good, and it's crazy to think that something so negative could have such a positive impact on your life. But I think one of the biggest things and one of the most important things I've learned is that my anxiety has taught me to make changes, or it's been urging me to make changes that are necessary in my life. Now, it's important to note that there is a fine line between overthinking and making bad decisions or unhealthy decisions for yourself, or using your anxiety for good and understanding that you're in a bad situation and using it to get you out of that situation. I think one of the best examples of this is your job, your career, at least my career, because I was in a position last year where I was feeling anxious all the damn time. And obviously there's COVID, there's a pandemic going around. That's a pretty big anxiety inducer to begin with. But I started this new job and I was like, you know what? I finally escaped my sales role that I was in before. I think I'm in the right job, like everything feels good, but something never felt right. I felt anxious going to work. I felt anxious sitting at my desk. I felt anxious working from home. I just felt anxious altogether from this job. And as a personal development YouTuber, my initial reaction was like, oh, I gotta do some self-improvement, maybe cut out social media for a week, or start eating healthier, start reading some self-help books, going back to my meditation. And while those did work temporarily, it wasn't going to solve my problem, because my problem was I actually wasn't in the right job. It turns out I wasn't the biggest fan of the people I worked with. I wasn't even a fan of the work I was doing. I would just wake up and just dread having to do my job because I hated it. That's the best way to put it. But I finally made a decision that we wanted to look in Austin. We wanted to move to a new city, and that opened a lot of doors for me because I was ready to look at new positions that I wasn't willing to look at while I was in Dallas. And I can really thank my anxiety for pushing me in this right direction, because without it, I wouldn't have known which way to look. I wouldn't have known that there was an issue if it weren't for me feeling anxious at my work. All right, so just between you and me, there's a little secret where a lot of people kind of mix up anxiety and a gut feeling. And I think it's only because a lot of people hear the word anxiety and they automatically think negative. It's a bad thing. We don't want to be anxious. We don't want to be anxious. But sometimes it's good. I mean, before you do anything big, you're anxious because you're excited to do it. Like, it's important to remember that anxiety doesn't always have to be negative. But if you want to decipher it, you want to know and understand what direction to go in. Usually if it's a bad form of anxiety, it's going to linger. It's something that sticks with you for a long amount of time. Like, I'm feeling much better now. I feel a lot less anxious after this move because it was the right choice. And usually if you have a gut feeling, like a good anxiety, a good anxious feeling, it's usually more in a clear direction. Like it's more of a definitive way, like you need to do this, you should be doing this, and you feel that. It's something you feel in your stomach, it's something you feel in your brain, like it just clicks and you're like, that's what I need to do. So just kind of use those to your advantage. Understand that the lingering is more of a bad thing, and that like clear path, when it just, that like light bulb moment goes off in your head, that's when it's the good one. Follow that one. But that's it. That is all I got for you guys today. I'm drinking a Diet Dr. B, which is like the H-E-B brand of Diet Dr. Pepper. I'm trying to do Diet Dr. Pepper because I was drinking a little bit too much, and I'm kind of like weaning myself off by going diet and then like just stopping altogether. But also, I don't think I showed you guys this. Hold on. I know this isn't technically a moving in vlog anymore, but let me show you guys the fireplace that we just finished before I wrap up this video. Pretty cool, huh? Yeah, that looks really good. We just put on these little fake tile sticker things on it, painted the whole thing black. Looks fantastic. But that's it. That's all I got for you guys today. Hopefully you guys are able to take some of this and realize that anxiety doesn't always have to be a bad thing. Hell, honestly, it's one of those things you live with. It's a part of you now. Just accept it, embrace it, and understand that it's going to teach you a lot of things in life, and use it to your advantage. So take some of these tips, take some of whatever you learned from me today, go implement it in your life, or even just share it with somebody you know that might be able to use it. But that's all I got for you guys today. Go out and grab yourself a Diet Dr. B. I wonder what the B stands for. Whatever. Not a big deal. I love you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Come back next week for the next video. See ya.